Hello, this is Baby Boomer Tales. How are you doing today? I am so glad to be with you. My name is Jim, and let's explore the inner cavities of my head for 10 to 20 minutes here. I'm not sure what. I'm doing something I have not done for a while, and that is I'm going with no notes. I'm winging it. I'm free falling. This should be interesting. I pulled out my old microphone from the closet a few days ago, and I fixed a bunch of the wires. They had become all frayed, and I always liked this mic better than what I call my new microphone, which is at least a couple years old now. And I just did a test, and I'm going to try this. I do not have anybody that really tells me how my voice sounds from one time to another. I mess with my equalizer, the graphic equalizer, a little from time to time. And I know this one, I always thought I liked my voice better than with the new microphone. And the reason I think is the new microphone had more dynamic bass, and this one does not. And because of my hearing issues, I do not like dynamic bass. I'm always going around turning bass down and treble up on almost everything I have. So if this does not sound like the old microphone and you preferred it, I apologize in advance. I'm just going to ramble on and on like I mentioned, and I don't know where I'm going, and I have not note one, except I kept a spreadsheet open on my computer from songs from my 29 all-time favorite songs. I've done 6, I believe, episodes of those, and I'm going to probably mention a few songs on there, my favorite songs. And so let's start with Sister Golden Hair. It's from 1975 in America, and I still love that song. When it comes on, we listen to Pandora more than anything anymore. And both my wife and I sing along with that song. It's a catchy tune. We saw America in concert about 5 or 6 years ago, probably now. Dan Peake is dead, but the other two were very much alive, and it was a very good concert, and I really loved that song. Probably my favorite of theirs, although I did like Horse with No Name and Ventura Highway also a lot. I'm just sitting here looking out my window. Yesterday morning, I thought it was a coyote walking across the ice, walking from the west to the east. And so I started watching, and I realized that coyote does not have a very long tail. And I looked a little closer, and it was a bobcat. I think he's my bobcat. I saw a bobcat around here a couple years ago. He walked right in front of my window, probably 10 feet from me, and stopped, and it looked like he was looking at me. He probably couldn't see me because of the window. But since then, I have seen very few rabbits. We were being overrun with rabbits because my dogs had all died. And then this last summer, we found a baby bobcat hiding in my wife's flowers, and I talked about him a little. And so I've seen him a couple times, this bobcat, not the baby. But I have to think that he lives around here because we still hardly ever see a rabbit. There's one place where my wife's flowers get eaten all the time, and it's right under a small deck that there's a hole like something's dug and lives under that little deck. And so I have to think it must be a rabbit doing that. But besides that, we see no rabbits. They were on the porch and everything before my bobcat took up residence here. So I welcome that bobcat. I like wildlife. I like coyotes. I've talked about them on several occasions. They help keep the vermin at bay around here, mice and rats and all that stuff. But a bobcat, he looked quite large walking across the pond, but from that distance, it's probably over 100 yards from my window where I saw him walking. And so sometimes an animal looks larger than they are at that distance for some reason. It's just the perspective I have at that distance. We haven't seen any deer around here lately, and that's okay. You know, that kind of runs in waves. In October, we saw a lot of them, October and first part of November. And I talked about the rut I saw between two young bucks, and that was amazing. Next week will be our Christmas edition, and that's one reason I'm just winging it today. I don't want to start talking about Christmas too much, but about this time when I was a child up there in the north central Colorado Rocky Mountains, 8,000 feet above sea level, my little town that had 500 people, the whole county only had about 4,000 back then. And we'd look at that Montgomery Ward catalog and wish and dream and tell our folks what we wanted and try to be good so we'd get it. My brothers and I would just almost fight over that catalog. But we just lay there on the living room floor and just turn page after page after page. Do you remember when you're 8, 10 years old maybe, and dream about what you wanted for Christmas, knowing that you had to be a good little boy or girl, better than you are? Even if you weren't a bad kid, you had to be better than that. You had to be on your very best behavior. And then maybe, just maybe, you just might get what you were wishing for, what you threw all those hints out for, what you maybe showed you folks in that Montgomery Ward catalog. This time of year, the whole holiday season, I can't help but think of my grandma, my mom's mom, Connie's mother. Her and Grandpa lived in that little town I was raised in. Grandpa owned the pool hall in town, and my uncles and family on my mom's side owned businesses up and down Main Street. In fact, my dad's relatives, a lot of them lived here too. My Uncle Charlie owned the trading post, him and Francis. My Uncle Victor owned the Gamble store, which later my Uncle Sam owned. Uncle Jim owned the dry cleaners. Him and Uncle Sam, when I was little, owned the dry cleaners together. I had other relatives owning things. It was just amazing to me. And Grandma was the matriarch of the whole kit and caboodle. I can remember things like her cleaning the chickens. I don't remember her killing it. But we had a chicken coop, my grandparents did. But by the time I can really remember, we played in it like a little house, and the chickens were all gone. So that one where she was cleaning the chicken, plucking his feathers, I had to be little, young, very young. We moved from my little hometown when I was 1 and moved to the San Diego, California area until I was about 5, and we moved back just in time for me to go to school, go to kindergarten. We must have moved back in the early spring because by the time I went to my first day of school, we were living in that house on the hill. It was just the basement back then, and the snow would get so deep in that country that basement looked like an igloo. Later, my parents built on top of the basement where there was a kitchen and the living room, and then later they built on the east wing of the house, which were 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. But when I was young, we lived in that basement. To look outside, we'd have to stand on the back of the couch and look outside. And we'd look out there on a couple days before Christmas, right in the evening, because we knew Santa Claus was going to come and give us a present. It was this man named Ricky who had a cafe downtown. He loved to dress up like Santa, and he had a horse called Rudolph, and that horse would pull Ricky in a wagon if we didn't have much snow that year, or a sleigh if we did. Pull him around in that sleigh all over town, delivering presents to kids. Your parents would have to buy the present and Ricky would deliver it as Santa Claus a couple days before Christmas. What a wonderful treat and a precious memory. There's an old picture, it was a postcard, of the whole town gathered in front of Ricky's cafe. One cold, I remember it was so cold that night. Ricky was dressed like Santa, and it said Merry Christmas on it. I post that on social media every once in a while during the Christmas season. It's one of those cherished things, you know what I mean? You have memories that are just so cherished that once in a while during a special time, it'll kind of bubble up and come forward into your memory. And yes, you just might have to share it with someone. My wife gets quite tired of me sharing special memories. She'll tell me, "You've told me that several times, darling." And my response to her every time is, "I know, but it was just so special. It reminded me of Mom, or it reminded me of Dad, or it reminded me of John and Don and Janice, my brothers and my sister, or something. And I just had to share it with somebody." Nothing like around San Diego, where there's surfing maybe year-round. Like Surf City by Jan and Dean. It was one of the first records I ever bought. 1963. I bought Surf City, Hello Mudda, Hello Fada, Please Don't Talk to the Lifeguard, and Sugar Shack. Those were my first 4 45s. I was shocked when I went down to Wayne's house. We know him around here as Forky most of the time. And he had a record by Bob Dylan. I had never heard of that guy. And I thought he sounded kind of funny. But looking back, I know that Bob Dylan's probably the greatest songwriter of my generation. Forky and Earl. I love talking about Forky and Earl. Wayne and my adventures. I pulled out a picture I found online of Wayne. It's probably the last picture ever posted. It was on his obituary. He was probably 50 or something when this picture was taken. That means I hadn't seen him for over 30 years. But I saved that picture, and now I see it every once in a while as I'm going through my pictures and memes looking for something to post on my Baby Boomer Tales Facebook page. If you've never visited there, all you have to do is type up Baby Boomer Tales. It's not a group that you have to belong to or anything. Just something that we try to put 3 posts a day, either sentimental or jokes or something. Most of them relating to being a baby boomer. Speaking of looking us up, our webpage is babyboomertales.com. There's links to our podcast there, Baby Boomers merchandise you can buy, pictures of me and that country in north central Colorado and a country I live in now in northeastern Kansas. I miss Colorado, but I don't know if I'd want to move back there. I have a daughter that would love for us to live by her, and we would love to live by her also. But I'm at the time in my life that seems overwhelming to me. What am I going to do with all my stuff? Am I just going to start over? Can I actually sell this place for what I think it's worth, or at least what for everybody else is getting for theirs? And how much is it going to cost me to move out there? All that stuff. I think I'm frozen with indecision, and that's not a good thing. There's 4 grandchildren that live back there, and they're kind of growing up without me. I only see them a couple times a year if I'm lucky. I don't know. I just don't know. I should pray about it. Speaking of praying, my prayer for you is to be healthy and happy and content with your life. Let kindness overtake you and be such a part of your life you don't even have to think about trying to be kind. I'll be back next Wednesday and I'll put something together for Christmas. It has to be the very, very best time of the year. Peace out.